Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to go through some of the best value players in the contenders. Obviously the update's going to happen from the 29th of March, so I'm going to show you just a few players that I've made in a watch list made of 80 plus players. And I'm going to go through two of each position and potentially another little extra for you guys at the very end of the video. So don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to the channel please guys. It'll mean the world. But let's get into the first player. And we're going to start off here. We're going to go for Raphael Zelenica of Hartberg in the Austrian Bundesliga. Obviously, you can see L5 of 51, L15 of 59, and L40 of 51. He's also just under £10, which I still think is really good value as well. And even his rare card, for some reason, is only 80 quid as well. As you can see, he's 29th in the goalkeeper rankings. And also, it does say he's got one game left here. But if you don't know, the Austrian Bundesliga does break off into a relegation and promotional group. And from what you can see here, obviously all the teams from 1 to 6 will be in the promotion group, and then from 7 to 12 will be in the relegation group. So Hartberg are obviously in the promotional group, which isn't the best of course, because that does mean they play other players, or other teams I should say, from the promotional group, so it will be difficult. But the good thing about Hartberg is that some of the players in there score really well both home and away against the top teams. So this is Zelenica''s points. So you can see there 11.1 worth of AA over the last year, hitting about 52 score on average for each game. 12 clean sheets in the last 32, which I think is really respectable. And as you can see there, this hasn't been filtered or anything like that. This is all games included. There's no DMPs or no sub appearances here. So he's just the first team goalkeeper as standard. And yeah, I think this guy is really, even a rare, just over 70 or just under £80, I think is really, really good. And just under £10 for a goalkeeper like this, I think is really good. And yeah, like I said, although they break off into the promotional group, I still think they have a good chance of getting some good clean sheets and some good scoring. Going back with my argument beforehand, if we bring it down just to his home games, you can see there he scored really well in the home games, hitting a 2 against Salzburg, who are top of the league, and they did concede 5 goals unfortunately for that particular game. But even again, goes to show, even away, he are, not 100, but he is susceptible to some really good dark green scores there as well for you guys. So yeah, I really like the look of this guy. At home, he is keeping 7 clean sheets in his last 16, and away he is keeping 5 in his last 16. So obviously prefers the home game, but I think regardless, he's got 10.4 worth of AA away. So I have no clue why this guy's so cheap, but the only real thing is that the Austrian Bundesliga is coming to an end. But like I said, they break off into a promotional and relegation group, so there's still some time to utilise him. And for the sake of him being a rare, for £80, like I said, under £10 for the limited, I think this is really, really solid option for one of you guys. The next goalkeeper I'm going to be talking about is going to be Oliver Zelenica of Varaždin of the HNL League, which is the Croatian League. L5 of 54, L15 of 49, and L40 of 50. Currently just under £5 at the moment, which I think is again a real steal. Just like his rare as well, just under £70. I think is a good steal as well. You can see there, well, we're going to show you from his scores. He got a random DMP in his last one. I don't know if it's random because I've not done all too much research on it, but basically he plays sharper, and the experts say that he's 95% likely to start the next game. So by the time this video comes out, you will know if and when he does start. And yeah, and when we go into his scores, you can see here, scores wise, I mean, he scores really nicely from time to time anyway. Obviously really susceptible to the nice dark greens. Had a couple of greens there, a couple of clean sheets back to back, 11 clean sheets and 34, so not as good as Salinger, but decent nonetheless, I think, for especially for a goalkeeper who is only just at £5 or under £70 for rare. As you can see there, 11.3 worth of AA currently as well. At home he is getting about 10.9, and away from home 11.7, so you can see they're in the cosh a bit, facing a lot more shots, Varaždin, and yeah, but probably use this guy at home. You can see from the scores, look at this, look, a lot more dark greens, not a lot nicer scores, and then away, like I said, it's susceptible to a good score, but not as doesn't score as well that he does at home anyway. So just for a goalkeeper that this cheap, just under £5, I can pretty much, I'm pretty certain that he's going to be the starting goalkeeper. Again, I think he just had a random DMP. I don't know if it's due to illness or just lack of fitness or a little niggle that he had, but yeah, for just under £5, not worth not, you know, it's not too bad for a shout, is it? So yeah, £5 for Oliver Zelenica. So now we've got Bradley Danger here, who's going to be the first defender. He plays for Rodez in the second tier of the French league. L5 of 60, L15 of 53, and L40 of 54. Some, you know, really good consistent scoring there, and obviously percentages in regards to how much he plays. £1.50 at the moment. I've got to try maybe pick this guy up myself. So he's really good. As you can see here, he's got defender and more midfielder cards, so do keep an eye on that. But as you can see here, his midfielder cards are the cheapest one because they're older classic cards, whereas the in-season is just double the price at £3, which is still not bad, especially with 9% on it. And here are the differences. This is his midfielder SO5 scores in comparison to his defender scores. So obviously you want to pick up the defender. So for £3 for an in-season one as well, I think he is really, really good for that sort of price. So we'll go off the defender scores, so about £3. Last 36 games over the year, he's getting about 56 score with 16.1 average AA, 4 goals, 3 assists, and 3 last man tackles. Again, really, really nice indeed. Like many of the players, he does prefer a home game. You can see there some lovely dark greens there. Didn't play very well these last couple of games. So he got a red card in his 16 points there, and Bordeaux, I believe, are in the top half of the table, so a difficult one, but yeah, he didn't have the best of games there. And then when we look at his away form, obviously it's not as good as his home form, but it's still not too shabby at all. And like I said here, like 40 AA and 27 AA, just those last 2 away games. And in regards to the last year in away games, it's 14.3, and then at home he is averaging 18.1. So playing for a team who's sitting 7th in the League 2 at the moment, so there's no real risk of him being promoted. I say risk, if he did eventually get promoted, then of course then he would be a champion, use the utility card. But other than that, he's nice and cheap at the £1.50 mark for the midfielder, or about £3 for the in-season defender card. So I would not say that's too bad at all for someone of this caliber in the league of Bradley Danger. So the next player is going to be Greg Taylor of Celtic. L5 of 63, L15 of 62, and L40 of 54, and he's currently sitting at just under £6 at the moment. Even at rare price at the moment, I don't think it is that bad at all, considering Celtic is going to be one of the top teams for the Contender Division. And with Taylor's scores, you can see here from the last year, again, he's hit 2 100s in very recent game weeks, and yeah, just has some really nice peaks in him. And if we look at his AA scoring, he's hitting 16.2 worth of AA over the last year, starting 42 of the games and being benched 5 times and 5 DMPs, 6 assists, 3 goals, 1 penalty, kicks 1 as well. And let's look at his home score. His home score is 15.8 worth of AA, and you can see it's a nice peak of 100 there. And then the away score is actually 16.5, so it even looks better probably in away form. But yeah, I think that's really good. And because obviously how cheap he is in price, I think is really good value and going to help you push up that leaderboard within Contender and push up the high divisions in Contender, hopefully get you better, well, loot boxes or cash reward, depending if it's in season or classic. And I think he just provides really good value considering he's hit 2 100s in over the last 7 or 8 game weeks. So I think he's really good for the price and great value. And the next player I'm going to go for is Curo Sanchez of Burgos in the La Liga 2, obviously in Spain. L5 of 53, L15 of 52, and L40 of 55. And he's currently sitting at only £1.50. And for a guy who's only £1.50 and hitting scores like this quite consistently throughout the season and back end of last, I think, yeah, it shows really good promising value. As you can see in the top, 16 goals and 5 assists in the last 37 games. Again, really, really solid output there as well. Had a random DMP there, but other than that, he's been pretty much a starter for Burgos. And obviously, unlike Bradley Danger, he doesn't have multiple cards. They are all just midfield cards. With it currently being only £2.16 to pick up one of his in-season ones with 6.5% bonus on him. If we look at his AA scoring, obviously he looks more decisive heavy, as you can see there with the 47 decisive score over the last year, and with the output of 16 goals and 5 assists over those 37 games. If we go home form, again, really solid home form, and even the away form, it's not too bad either. A little less, probably more consistent actually than the home form, but he's more prone to higher scores. And from what you can see here, La Liga 2 still have plenty of game weeks left to go to be able to utilise someone like Curo Sanchez. Again, very similar to what I've said to everyone. There's a following theme on this video, is that he is great value, I think. Even his rare, I forgot to mention as well, at just £20 for a guy who's hitting it quite consistently. Yeah, I would say Sanchez is definitely really good value for money. On to the next player is going to be Lewis Holtby of Holstein Kiel in the second tier of Germany. Hasn't been playing the best recently with that L5 of 44, as you can see there, and his L15 though, a 63, shows what sort of he can peak at. But just over £3 at the moment, and pretty much he's been going for about the £30 to £35 mark on the rare market. Again, I see as great value, and I believe it's good value because of these scores right here. You can see there are a lot of nice dark greens there and some light greens of course to accompany it. As you can see from the start, all the yellows and the oranges was basically just picking up, being within the team most likely, but nonetheless he's doing really well now. Maybe over the, not even the last few games, but definitely has provided, look, 7 assists, 3 goals in 25 appearances. Not too bad, but he's still hitting an AA of 12.9. Well, in the last 6 months, as you can see from all the scores on screen, he's hitting an AA of roughly 16.5 on average. And let's look at his away form and home form. So again, home form really solid, 83, 99, 87 and 94, but not so high peaks, but still decent scores of 81, 73, 75, hitting the 70s mark quite consistently even away from home. Now the downside isn't so much going to be his fixtures, which there are quite a few still remaining to utilize him. It's that Holstein are sitting in the automatic promotion group to push them obviously into the Bundesliga. That could be seen 2 different ways. Obviously Holtby could potentially be a champion player next season that you can use in that division, or he could stay within contender in the second tier of the Bundesliga. So from the promise this guy shows for just £3, I think is really solid. Like I said before, at £30 to £35 in rare, probably come down a little bit very soon. And yeah, you can see with the L15 of 63, he's no joke or no one to sort of muck around with. He is really solid and has done really well so far at Holstein. And the first of the forwards is going to be Andreas Gruber of Austria Vienna of the Austrian Bundesliga. There you go, got out at the end. L5 of 46, L15 of 49 and L40 of 52, and sitting at only £1.86 for a forward card. Getting rid of his sub appearance, having 28 games but 14 goals and 4 assists, so 18 goal contributions in 28 games, I think is really solid indeed, and 7.8 worth of AA to go alongside it. Typically forwards don't really have decent AA, but I would say 7.8 is quite good indeed. And you can see there he does hit some lovely green and dark green scores and peaks. His next game is at Tyrol at home. He should be starting and should be playing for that game, and he should score more than likely against them. And again, just like Zelenica before at Hartberg, is that the Austrian Bundesliga do break up again into that promotion and relegation group. As opposed to Zelenica, obviously he was with Hartberg, who are sitting 4th, who are in the promotional group. The good thing about Gruber is he's in the relegational group at the top end of it, so he's one of the better out of the worst teams in the Austrian Bundesliga. So, you know, selfishly, hopefully they stay there, and then you're going to see him play against Linz, Altach, Lustenau, Tyrol, and yeah, I think he's going to get some really good scores in that time. So again, for just under £2 to have a player like this in your contender lineup, I think it's going to, again, really solid. I know I sound like a broken record and like an echo, but even like it's rare, again, £28 for a forward card, guys, by the way. It isn't a defender or a midfielder. Typically is the goalkeepers and the forwards who are the most expensive within Sorare. And my final pick is going to be Martin Braithwaite of Espanyol in the La Liga 2. L5 of 60, L15 of 55 and L40 of 51. The L5 just goes and showcases how well he's done recently. And for £5.57 again, I think is great value. Even £46 for the rare. So this is the last 24 games. This is taken out his sub appearances, which was only a few of, but 24 games, and he's scoring 16 goals and contributed to a penalty one also. Now again, over the last 6 months, this guy loves a home fixture. As you can see there, a lot of his better scores come at home, scoring 13 in the last 13. So it goes to show his away form isn't as, well, nearly as good. 11 appearances with only just 3 goals. And even you can see from his scores, doesn't really peak very well at all. So to play him at home is a bit of an understatement. Make sure you play him at home if you do decide to pick up Martin Braithwaite. And again, whichever way you see it, this could be a blessing or a curse, is that he will come out of Contender if he gets promoted. Espanyol are currently third, so they're quite firmly in that extra playoff space to be able to get that automatic promotion spot into La Liga, in which case then he would be a champion utility player. But if they don't get promoted, you do get that extra 2-3 games depending on how far they go in the playoffs. So again, extra bit of utility. So to pick up the ex-Barca man for just under £6 at the moment, or at £6.50 or just under £7 for his in-season card, I think provides really solid value for money there. And yeah, they've still got quite a few games to go. Espanyol are doing really well, and Braithwaite is a big part of that. And I did say I will probably throw in an extra player for you guys, and I'll do Manuel Pfeiffer, who is in the same team as Salinger, so you can easily stack those guys up together. With an L5 of 54 and an L15 of 55, again, just shows a lot of consistency there, and a £1.55 again, so that you can get him and Salinger together for about £11 for a very, very solid defensive stack indeed. And even his rare card for him, again, and Salinger, you're talking £80 to £90 for the two. And for someone who's putting up these sort of scores, I think it's ridiculous. 19.5 worth of AA in his last 32 games, which has been over the course of a year. But boy, this guy does love a home game, and this as follows right there. Look at those scores for just home games. Don't know where he got the 12 points for. Yeah, it was the 5-1 loss. Very much like Salinger, 5-1 loss. He got very poor score there, which the majority of the team would, having minus 22.52 AA. But you can see everything else: 33, 53, 31, 7, 42, 42. He's hitting stupid AA scores, and you can see there 26.4 worth of AA from just home, which you can see from his away form is still not bad, very respectable, but only hitting 12.5 as opposed to what he was hitting at home. And again, the Austrian Bundesliga, again, sound like a broken record, guys, but obviously it's not coming to an end just yet. It is soon going to conclude. Obviously, they break off to the relegation promotional group, but if you put Manuel Pfeiffer and Salinger together, I think they could be a really solid shout for even next season. And if you're new here, guys, make sure to hit the subscribe button and hit that notification bell to be notified every time I upload.